Hey guys, it's Evie here and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. I hope you decide to stick around and subscribe. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 10 things that I have learned throughout my bodybuilding journey. So from the beginning, from the bulk all the way to 4 weeks post-show. So yeah, my last show was 4 weeks ago and I competed in 3 different shows with 2 different federations. The first one was NBA, where I competed in Melbourne and then again in the Sydney National shows. And then I competed at the A&B show as well, which was a pro card show. I didn't walk away with a pro card, but that is okay because I did place and won swimsuit overall champion in that federation as well. Anyways, let's get into it. So 10 things that I learned throughout my bodybuilding journey. Number 1 is trust your coach and be honest with them. This is very, very important because if you don't tell your coach what is going on in your life, within your body, how you're going with food, how you're feeling overall, they aren't going to be able to accommodate accordingly. So for example, there was a point in prep where I was feeling so low. My weight wasn't budging. It was going up sometimes. And instead of withholding the information, I was very honest with her, and she's like, pretty much like, I think your body's just under a lot of stress. Let's have a refeed day. And because of that refeed day, I was able to actually lose weight going forward because that's what has to happen during prep. But also the same thing with the bulk. There were times where I was feeling so overwhelmed with the amount of food that I had to eat, but I was very honest with my coach with how I was feeling. But obviously you can't really take away food when it comes to bulking because it's so necessary. But I think just regardless if it's stress, food, work life, whatever it is, all these components put together can have effects in different areas of your life, which can result in how your body is reacting to food, for example. So yeah, just make sure you are very honest with your coach and that you trust them and trust the process because they do know what they are doing and they will be working with you for an extended amount of time. So if you withhold information, they aren't going to be able to know your body as well as they should. The second thing that I learned during my journey is learning how to fuel myself correctly and learning how much food I can actually eat. So when I first started my bodybuilding journey, I obviously, first time working with a coach, we didn't really know what my deficit, maintenance, or surplus was. So there was a lot of playing around. And we actually found out my maintenance was way higher than I expected, meaning my surplus was way higher than expected. So I was eating so much more food than I ever anticipated. The energy was great, but also with the bulk comes along with that sluggish feeling, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So now that I know how much I can actually eat, going into this reverse and post bodybuilding, I'm going to be eating way more than I ever could dream of. And now that I kind of know what macros are, how much calories I can actually eat, I'm able to play around with food a little bit more. So that's really, really exciting. And I also learned not to be scared of foods such as maple syrup and honey and peanut butter. I was always the one that was going for the sugar-free options, the ones that were lowest in calories. But now that I know how much food I can actually eat, I can actually incorporate those healthy fats and carbohydrates into my everyday life and not be scared of it. Because those foods are more calorie dense. They do obviously take up more calories, but they are great sources of those macros I just mentioned, which is going to give you so much energy throughout your day and workout and yeah, just your everyday life. So I learned how to fuel myself correctly, how much food I can actually eat, and I'm not scared to eat certain foods as well, which is just really great because now that I know all of this, bodybuilding wasn't only about stepping onto a stage, it was also about learning about expanding my knowledge with nutrition, with fitness, and learning just how my body functions as well. Number 3, the bulk is so important. When I first started bulking, it was quite exciting because I was like, oh my gosh, I can eat all of these carbs. It's going to be so easy to eat more food. It's actually really, really hard to do a clean bulk. Really, really hard. That's another thing that I learned. Really, really hard to do a clean bulk. My goodness me. But the bulk is so important because if you don't take your bulk seriously, that end cut physique isn't going to be as defined as you want it to be. And let me explain. So in the bulk, you're obviously there to gain In your bulk, you obviously have a lot of carbohydrates because they are going to give you the fuel and the energy to put into your workouts. The more energy you have for your workouts, the harder you are going to push in the gym, meaning you are going to build more muscle. Obviously, you're going to gain some fat, the scale is going to go up, and that is the whole purpose of the bulk. And you cannot skimp out on it like I kind of did at the beginning. Because I was feeling so sluggish, my body dysmorphia was kicking in, I was just so overwhelmed with how much harder the bulk was than I actually anticipated. There were days where I was doing extra steps and cardio to try and feel better about myself. But if you do those things in your bulk, it's just going to make your prep way harder. So if you are doing extra steps, you're doing 10,000 steps in your bulk, that means your step count in your prep is going to be higher. So next time I go into a bulk, I'm going to have lower steps. That way the prep isn't as intense, because there were days where I was literally pacing around in the house trying to hit my 14,000 step goal, and it was driving me crazy. So that is why you should really, really appreciate what the bulk does and just relax during that time and don't do extra things, because like I mentioned, it's just going to make the protocols in prep even harder. The biggest thing that I did struggle with during my bulk was just how sluggish and full I felt. But a big tip if you are in a bulk is use liquid calories to your advantage. So those are the things like honey, peanut butter, maple syrup. They're higher in calorie, lower in volume, but still really great sources of food. The fourth thing that I have learned is you need to start posing as soon as possible. If you could be the best looking physique on stage, but if your posing looks shit, you are not going to place as well. Because when we are up on stage posing, we are actually kind of manipulating the way that we look. So we're pushing our glute out more, or we could be hiding some muscle depending on the division you're in. You need to maybe pop your leg out more. Maybe your posing needs to be a little bit different. And posing is very unique to each individual. So you want to start working with a posing coach as soon as you can. I recommend 12 months before going into a show, especially if you're a first-time competitor. So I started my journey in January, and in February all the way through to October, I was seeing a coach almost weekly, because it was definitely an area that I was really, really struggling in. Even on my actual show days, I was kind of struggling with my posing, especially when you're up on stage, everything goes out the window. So yeah, don't rely on watching YouTube videos. Don't rely on other people's videos that you see online, because everything is very unique. What works for someone may not work for you, because as I mentioned, it's kind of manipulating your body. If someone has bigger glutes, they may not need to push as hard. If you have smaller glutes, you may need to drive harder. So it's just about individualizing your routine and making it unique to you. So yes, highly recommend to start posing as soon as possible. Go to group classes as well. That way you get a feel on what it's like on actual show day next to people. That way you know where to move and how to move if someone's really close to you. And it's just a really great experience overall to be surrounded by other athletes as well. Number 5 is the role of macros and how strategic it can be, and how we can actually manipulate our bodies, especially with how depleted we are. So this is really relevant to peak week. So peak week is the week before your actual show. So with peak week, the beginning of it, you're really, really depleted because you've been in a deficit for so long, and you are then counting down the days to your last cardio session and carb up. So when you're very depleted, you're going to be very, very flat. So all the muscle that you built up during your bulk that you would have started to see during your deficit, like the beginning of the deficit, that peak week, you're going to feel and look so flat. You're going to be like, where is everything? I have withered away. I am literally a piece of paper. But then carb up starts, and carb up is definitely dependent on the individual. So for myself, I had an amazing carb up. My coach gave me between 400 to 500 grams of carbohydrates each day to fill me up. Not everyone is able to achieve that amount of carbs, because everybody's different and everybody digests food very differently. My body was just eating it up. So I needed a lot of carbs, and those carbs were able to fill out the muscle. So all that space, the carbs just went into it. And it was just so amazing to see the difference between the 2 days, like the day before carb up and the day after carb up. I'll put pictures on the screen for sure. You just look like a completely different human, and you also feel like a completely different human. So the day before, you are so tired, you are so depleted, you are irritated, you are hungry, you are moody, but then that next day, the moment the carbs hit your tongue, everything just changes. Your mood is better, your energy is back, and you are looking so fucking good. Your muscles look ripped, you look jacked, and that's where the magic happens. So yeah, just seeing like how strategic like macros are like with bodybuilding was just really, really cool to see. It's like, wow, that's crazy. That carbs especially makes such a big difference with the way that we look and the way that we feel. So don't skip out on carbs. They're very, very important. Number 6 is appreciate every phase and what it does. So this is, we have the bulk, we have the prep, and we have the reverse. So those are the 3 different stages that you are going to go through as a bodybuilder. So what you need to appreciate during the bulk is the energy that you are going to have from the amount of food. You're going to appreciate how hard you can push in the gym, and you are just going to appreciate food so much for that time, because it's like, oh, prep is just around the corner. We got to make up for it. And the bulk also gives you so much more flexibility with social events as well. So appreciate the bulk, because time goes by and you just got to sit in the moment being like, yeah, I feel like shit, but also I'm able to go out to dinner tomorrow night with my husband and have a great meal because it's given me that flexibility. Then we have the prep. The beginning of, actually, like up until 2 weeks before my first show, I felt so good. So good. And then the 3-week gap between show 1 and show 2, that was hell. That was the worst 3 weeks I have ever experienced in my entire life. And then the last 2 weeks between show 2 and 3, I felt not as bad as the prior, but still feel pretty crap. So up until 2 weeks before my first show, I was actually feeling really good. I'm like, this shit's easy. This is so easy. And what you'll also find during prep, I don't know about everyone else, but I actually wasn't that hungry. A lot of people said that you'll feel really hungry. I did feel hungry on the first initial drop. So the first 2 weeks of prep, your calories kind of, they plummet quite quickly. So you kind of feel the hunger then as your body is adjusting to the new calories. But then after that, it's like, yeah, I'm actually not that hungry. And it was the fatigue that was the big one. But yeah, so that's where you like want to make sure that you're eating high volume foods to make sure that you're keeping full as you can with the amount of calories that you have. But yeah, prep, you got to appreciate it. Like the more movement is coming in, so you're kind of starting to get out of that sluggish feeling from the bulk. Cardio's in for the first time, and I was so excited when I was doing three sessions of cardio a week. I was like, thank you. But then by the end of it, I was doing 6 sessions over an hour, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So that's how you want to appreciate the bulking phase where you don't have cardio, because it's like, I know it's coming later on. So yeah. And prep, I don't know, like there's definitely the sacrifices that you have to make with social events, but I didn't really have an issue. I just took my container of food with me, and that was honestly so okay with me. I was okay with eating the same meals every single day. When you're in prep, you don't really want to change too much. So if you find a breakfast that works for you, I recommend sticking with that. Same with the other meals. My snack, I would like change it up. That way I would have some variety, but you definitely want to sit in the moment. Don't wish away the time, because that's what I did. I wished it away, and I'm like, I want this to be over. But it was also just really cool to look back and be like, my body went through hell and I made it through the other side. You learn through prep. You learn how mentally strong you are. You learn how you can push your body to its limits. You find out what your boundaries are. You have those daily check-ins with your coach. So again, make sure that you are honest with how you are feeling, because again, if they don't know that you're feeling like shit and you're telling them everything is great, they can be like, okay, then that means we can bump up more cardio and lower your food. If you're feeling so great, we can push that little bit further. So if they don't know what is going on, they are not going to be able to accommodate accordingly. And that is something that I learnt the hard way, because there were times where I was like, I don't want to complain. I don't want to be that person. Like, I know I can do this. I just got to get through it. But if she wasn't aware of half the shit I was feeling, I wouldn't have gotten the refeeds that I did. I wouldn't have made it, guys, is all I'm saying. Okay. Now with the next phase that I am in the reverse phase. So 4 weeks post show, and guys, I am feeling so fucking wonderful. I just feel amazing. And a lot of people really struggle with the reverse because you've been in that deficit for so long. And a lot of people start to binge, they overeat, and that just hasn't been the case. I've had 2 mental breakdowns where I was feeling very overwhelmed with food, because I'm like, I've been deprived for so long and it just feels wrong to eat all this. But it was only a couple of days, and again, I was honest with my coach with how I was feeling. She was able to give me some advice, and I'm out the other end, and I feel so incredible. Like, my sessions in the gym are incredible. The amount of food that I'm eating is incredible. My calories just got bumped up about an hour ago because I'm starting to feel hungrier throughout the day because my metabolism is working like crazy. I am only 1 kilo up from my stage weight. So yeah, it's been really, really good 4 weeks. And my coach said the first 4 weeks are the most crucial, and she has said that I have been doing a really, really great job, and I feel like I've done a really great job as well. And with the reverse, I'm also getting 1 free meal out a week. Still want to be conscious of what I'm eating, not going to, eat 3 pizzas and be like, yeah, that was my free meal. Still being conscious, but not tracking it, and just enjoying the social aspect of eating out again. So that's been really, really exciting. And yeah, I am appreciating this reverse so much. With the bulk and the prep, I felt like those 2 phases, I was like in the depths of it mentally, emotionally, physically. But with this reverse, this is the best I've ever felt. And as I mentioned with the previous points, I know how much food I can eat now. I'm appreciating food so much more, and it's just been incredible. So I babbled on about that one for a while, but yeah, just appreciate every phase and what it does for you. Your body is capable of so much. Seeing your body change throughout these stages, it's actually wild what I looked like at the beginning of the year and what I look like now. It is wild to me that I was able to change my body that much. Bodybuilding has just, I can't even. Number 7 is acknowledge how you feel. So if you feel sad, just sit in it. And if you feel like crying, cry. If you feel really happy, show it. So that is definitely something that I've learned throughout each phase, actually even throughout every phase. I was going to say especially during prep. That's when you really feel the emotions and when everything is heightened. But just appreciate and acknowledge how you feel. I think it was 2 weeks ago now where I had one of my mentee bees, and I was making dinner, and then I just started crying. I was so overwhelmed, and I just needed a good cry. My hubby gave me a hug. 2 minutes later, I was fine. So don't bottle it up. Just pour it out. I'm not good at hiding my emotions. My emotions are written all over my face. If I'm pissed off, you will know it. If I am sad, you will know it. If I'm happy, you will know it. I don't know how to hide my emotions. And it's actually really good because I don't want to be someone that bottles them up. If you ask me how I'm feeling and I actually don't feel good, I'll be like, yeah, I'm actually not that great today, but I'll go, we'll get through it. Tomorrow's a new day. And yeah, and one of my goals was not to let minor inconveniences ruin my entire day. And that is definitely something that I have worked on. So that's what I mean by acknowledging how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling sad, feel sad. And then once I'm over it, just continue with my day. So yeah, acknowledge how you feel. So the 8th thing that I learned was it's a mental battle. You will feel big, you will feel small, and you will feel everything in between. It is definitely not for the faint of heart because you are seeing your body gain weight, lose weight, you're stage lean, then you're coming out of that stage lean. You are seeing your body go through all of these changes, and body dysmorphia does kick in. I remember during peak week, I was like, I feel so small. Nothing feels right. Like, where is all the muscle that I built? But you need to trust the process, guys. So yeah, it was definitely a big mental battle but if you can get through prep and getting on stage, I can assure you guys, you can get through everything. So that kind of goes back to the previous point, acknowledge how you're feeling, okay? Because it's a mental battle. And make sure you have conversations if you are in a relationship with your partner or with your friendship groups. I was very honest with them up front, being like, hey, this is the phase that I'm in. So like, I am 6 weeks out from my show. This is how I'm feeling. If you feel like I'm not giving you energetic responses, or you feel like I'm being a bit cold, this is why. I was very honest with my husband with how I was feeling, and I have heard that prep tests your relationship, but our relationship really wasn't tested. And I think that's mainly to the fact that I didn't feel like shit for so long. And yeah, we made it through the other side. Number 9, during prep, fatigue is the biggest battle that you are going to face. So I mentioned it earlier. Hunger wasn't an issue for me. It was the fatigue. Oh my gosh. It's not tired. It's not like, oh, I didn't get enough sleep. No, it's because you are so deprived of macronutrients, especially the carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are your body's main source of energy. And that is something that you are deprived of to accommodate for those carb up days. And there was a day, it was actually my birthday. I remember I came home from the gym and I just sat on the floor and cried. It was like a few days after that, I was like on the stairs. I couldn't get up the stairs and I just sat there and cried. There were days where I was just sitting on this couch and I just cried because I was so fatigued. And then on top of that, you have to do your gym session and your cardio, and you're just like, when is this feeling going to end? And it does end, guys, because time passes anyways. But if you are going into bodybuilding, and I had this conversation with so many athletes, it's not the hunger, it's the fatigue. If you feel like you can't handle the feeling of feeling tired but ramped up times 100, you're gonna struggle during prep. Like, obviously I struggled, but I still hit every single box. I ticked every single box. And yeah, so it's not the hunger, it's the fatigue. That is what I learned. When I went into bodybuilding, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna feel so hungry. I don't wanna feel hungry all the time. I don't wanna be hangry. No, baby girl. You're gonna feel fatigued as fuck. And number 10, the very last one that I learned, is placing doesn't define you. I remember talking earlier in vlogs saying, you know, I don't care if I place or not, the biggest achievement is making it to stage, and that is 100% true. But guys, when you're actually on that stage, it's a whole different ballgame. You're like, oh my God, I actually do want to place. And having that drive, I was able to, you know, go a little bit harder because it gave me the motivation to do better. So yeah, you don't know who's going to show up on the day. You could get first in one show and then place last in a second show, because depending on who shows up on the day will determine on how you place. So that's why you really shouldn't matter if you get a medal or not, because the biggest achievement, again, is make it to that stage. Only, I think like 1%, even, is it 0.01% of the population actually make it to a bodybuilding competition and make it to stage. So that is really, really something to be proud of. That is something that I'm super proud of. I remember on my first show, first time I went up on stage, I didn't get a placing and I did cry. I was really sad. I'm like, I worked so hard and then I didn't get a medal for it. But that's just because every other physique was a little bit better. So yeah, like I mentioned, you don't know who's going to show up on the day. You could really, really well in one show, not that great in another show, and have the same exact package. But making it to stage is definitely the biggest achievement. But yeah, so in the end, a placing doesn't matter, a medal doesn't define you, and it's you versus you. It is you versus you. Someone will be better. That's how it is. They gotta determine who looks better, who looks best. And that's just something that you have to be okay with. Yep. Okay, that is everything that I wanted to talk about. 10 different things that I learned throughout my bodybuilding process. So I started this back in January, and I'm now again 4 weeks post show and enjoying this phase very, very much. If you're thinking about doing bodybuilding, you don't really know how you're going to feel, hopefully this gives you some inspiration, some help, and you can do hard things. If you think that you can't do it, I promise you, you can. A lot of people are like, I could never in a million years eat that little, or I love food too much. Like, I love food. I love food so, so much. I come from a Mediterranean WOG Greek background where food is everything, and I was able to do it. You can do hard things if you set your mind to it. If you have that goal in your mind and you are like, I'm going to do it, you can. It's about consistency, it's about discipline, and it's about just pushing yourself like you never thought you could. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, my friends, please make sure you give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow me along on TikTok and Instagram at evykassiotes, which I'll just leave here. And until next time, my friends, I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are. And just remember that one bad day isn't a setback, and tomorrow can always be better. Bye!